So we all know that the Twilight epidemic is worse than an AIDS breakout. And I'm not joking about that either. I would literally rather be locked in Freddie Mercury's bedroom back in the 80s as he threatens me with his diseased cock than coexist in a world full of legions of corpulent hags that devote themselves to a Twilight franchise, the most putrid pile of shit ever witnessed on page or screen. I can't believe I'm actually doing this. Imagine working as a shrink, and your patient is a fat, angsty female teen brat with a whiny voice who tells you about her fantasy of having two young studs fighting over her. Now imagine that she attempted, keyword attempted, to make it more palatable by turning the studs into supernatural creatures. That is literally Twilight, in a nutshell. It's undeniable that Twilight is one of the biggest, most lucrative pop culture phenomenons in recent years. Book sales are enormous, box office figures break records, and girls seem to love it. Too bad it sucks. Twilight is nothing more than an insufferable abstinence lecture transformed into an equally insufferable melodramatic romance fable. The characters are shallow and condescending, the stories are boring, and the franchise turns such badass creatures as werewolves and vampires into whiny pretty boys too oversensitive to actually kill people. And that is the single most reprehensible, despicable trait of these asinine abominations, the feminization of what was, prior to this, a very manly genre. Just think of what the vampire used to be, a deadly, malevolent and nightmarish fiend that used seductive charm and vicious treachery to entice victims into a position to be bitten, assaulted and raped, something to be truly afraid of. But not anymore, no. Now, thanks to Twilight, instead of sinking razor-sharp fangs into the necks of unsuspecting wenches and sucking the lifeblood from them, these days vampires would much rather give you a big warm hug and discuss their fragile emotions while weeping during sunsets. Dracula must be rolling over in his fucking coffin. It is the cinematic equivalent of castrating a legendary alpha male like Charles Bronson, putting him in a plum velvet dress, and forcing him to serenade us all with Lady Gaga tunes while his wrinkled ballsack lays dormant in the corner as a reminder of what it used to be. And it's all part of the bigger picture of cultural emasculation. TV shows like Glee or skinny jeans clad emo bands that further present the image of a modernized metrosexual girly man that has supposedly evolved, but in actuality has all the testicle fortitude of a 10-year-old Girl Scout. Thanks to films and books like Twilight, males have started to forget what it is to be a man, and females have developed a grotesque fantasy of what a man should be. The only reason Twilight is popular is because fat, unattractive, lonely single girls have absolutely no standards, and just love the idea of having two handsome studs fighting over them. It gives them an artificial feeling that some hunk will one day beckon for them, but in actuality, the closest thing they'll ever get to that is a handsome delivery guy ringing their doorbell to give them their third pizza of the night before leaving them to fall asleep in their pepperoni. But oh well, if it looks something like this, and consider that this is pretty much the face of YouTube Twilight fandom. I've seen better-looking burn victims fleeing a Down syndrome clinic that's on fire. Well, I guess girls like that are so deprived of male attention that all they can do is fantasize about having a great boyfriend. And they just love Twilight because they need something to feed their fantasies. Perhaps Stephanie Meyer should be criticised for giving those fat asses some hope that someday they will find a young stud who will think they're beautiful and will be less interested in sex and more interested in gazing into their beady, unloved eyes while feeding them romanticised verbal bullshit. The truth is, shy of lowering their standards to something like this, I doubt that Twilight fans will actually ever get any action apart from the overused electronic dildo that has to endure the unfortunate task of being buried inside their bulbous cunts every night. You might think that I'm being unfair, but if you consider that the best, most intellectual argument in defense of Twilight is, "Oh my god, everyone is so hot," or "Oh my god, I love Jacob," well, if anything, I'm being too fair. I have never heard an actual, intelligent reason to justify the thought that Twilight is actually good. So I keep saying my Twilight is bad. You want reasons, yes? Well, there are fucking tons. Let's just dive right in, shall we? Number 1. The characters. The characters are the most glaringly awful part of a series. All of the Twilight characters are one-dimensional and boring no matter which way you cut it. First, there's Bella. What the fuck do people see in this unbelievably boring bitch? She's sullen. She's completely devoid of personality. She's an evil, manipulative whore. And she always looks constipated. And let's not forget that Bella is a dreadful girlfriend. After all, she loves nothing more than to leave the arms of one boyfriend to go cuddle with another. I mean, sure, Kristen Stewart is kind of cute and doable, but I'd rather not have relationships with flat wooden tables. Next up, there's Edward, who likes to sneak into Bella's room and watch her sleep, and he likes to go through her personal things, and he prevents Bella from seeing her friends, like an eclipse when he broke Bella's truck to prevent her from seeing Jacob. What a douchebag! He's that overprotective boyfriend that girls hate. Plus, it makes no sense for girls to be in love with Edward. He's a fucking fictional character. I mean, what are they gonna do? Perform cunnilingus on top of the books? And for the record, it also makes no sense for girls to be in love with Robert Pattinson. He just plays the character. He's not a vampire. He's not Edward Cullen. And he looks like he's just come out of foul facial reconstructive surgery after having his face smashed in with a fucking tire iron. How is this douchebag considered attractive? And the guy is terrified of creepy Twilight fans, much like an irrational human being would be. Jacob is no better. For crying out loud, in Eclipse, he always tries to forcefully convince Bella that she loves him, and later, Jacob learns that Bella is marrying Edward, and refuses to help in a forthcoming battle, meaning he only agreed to take part in said battle initially in a sleazy attempt to impress Bella and win her over. And after his tantrum, Bella the evil whore tells Jacob to kiss her. Are you fucking serious? And the actor playing Jacob, Taylor Lautner, is so proud of his body that he wanders around perpetually shirtless, as if posing for a gay porno video cover, or at least trying to facilitate money shots for a gay porno trailer. And the guy cannot act to save his life. He has two facial expressions, forced intensity and blank. Number 2, the story. Actually, I think the word story is a bit too complimentary towards Stephanie Meyer's writing. There is only enough story material in the Twilight concept for 1, maybe 2 feature-length movies, but no more. But when the end credits roll on the second Breaking Dawn film in 2012, Bella Swan's existential crisis will have exceeded 10 goddamn hours of cinema. I mean, what the fuck? Not even Indiana Jones, not even Toy Story could be sustained for that long. And Twilight is definitely no Indiana Jones or Toy Story. By law, it is forbidden for anything remotely interesting to happen in a Twilight movie or book. So instead of stories with genuine dramatic growth, character arcs and depth, all we get is this shit.
You believe I have a soul, and I don't.
And again.
You'll always be my Bella.
Over and over again. And then, when the chance arises for something interesting to happen, either Meyer's intolerable prose or bad filmmaking completely squanders the opportunity. Let's go back to storytelling 101 for a second. Oftentimes, to make a narrative interesting, there has to be some type of conflict or crisis. In Lord of the Rings, for instance, a powerful ring was found that needed to be destroyed, or else all of Middle-earth will be ruled by some powerful demonic dude. This crisis is introduced early into the first film and is developed over the course of the trilogy. It provides momentum. In the first Twilight, we get no conflict or crisis beyond Edward being a vampire and trying to control himself. Oh yeah, and some evil vampires show up to hunt Bella for no reason except that the script demands it. The story does not build up to it, it just happens. There are just evil vampires and they have to lead the narrative somewhere, so they decide to hunt Bella. The attempt is there to introduce some type of conflict, but it's only introduced 3/4 into the story, and the handling of said conflicts is a testament to how fucking awful Stephanie Meyer is as a writer. Sure, New Moon Eclipse and Breaking Dawn introduced better developed conflict and crisis. Kudos to Stephanie Meyer for trying, but those stories are far more concerned with appalling romantic dialogue. Even Hitler's speeches were more enthralling. Another rule relates to character arcs. Again, in Lord of the Rings, characters change. Frodo is at first a naive hobbit, but as he travels to Mordor with Sam, he changes. He learns Joseph Campbell-style lessons about the world. He develops a newfound appreciation for life, and it renews his friendship with Sam. In Twilight, nobody changes. Nobody undergoes an arc. They're all too fucking shallow. Bella just bounces between I want Edward and I want Jacob, and decides that she wants to be a vampire. Meanwhile, Edward and Jacob remain whiny Nancy's boys from start to finish. Though Jacob does turn into a pedophile in Breaking Dawn when he falls in love with Bella and Edward's kid and decides he wants to marry it and fuck the shit out of it. Of course, rules of character arcs, conflict and crisis do not have to apply to every single story, but this type of stuff is pivotal to build interest, and Stephenie Meyer is not nearly talented enough to earn the right to try and be innovative. According to Stephenie Meyer, William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet was an influence on Twilight. Apparently, it went completely over the bimbo's head that Romeo and Juliet was a fucking satire. If Romeo and Juliet ever actually got married, they would have filed for divorce a few years afterwards, and the dramas of the story would have been superfluous in the long run. Shakespeare might be regarded as tedious bollocks when studied in school, but it's fucking hilarious that he can make someone look like an asinine cunt almost 4 centuries after his death. Number 3. The films fucking suck. The films actually hit the line of self-parody several times, but it would seem that the filmmakers were blissfully unaware of the unintentional hilarity. The film was could be lightened with self-aware humour, but no such miracle exists. If you like Twilight, you know what? That's okay. That's fine. I hold nothing against you. It's just that you are fucking retarded, or mentally handicapped, or intellectually challenged, or whatever the fuck the politically correct term is this week. If I see you on the street, I will repeatedly throw rocks at you and laugh until you enter a coma. You should all be exterminated for being the sad, fanatical cretins that you are. It's nothing personal, but you're worse than Al-Qaeda. But hey, plenty of retards have lived successful lives. I mean, some retarded people end up in politics, and some work in the movies, so not all hope is lost. And I know, twitards are just going to jump in and say, "Ooh, you're so mean," or "You didn't say anything we haven't heard a million times before," or "You don't know me, I love Twilight but I'm slim and attractive and I have a boyfriend who loves to stick his tongue down my snatch and recite Edward Cullen quotes." Before you do say that, just know that the night I spent with your mum was one of the worst experiences of my entire life. And for the record, if you're wondering, I'm part of team fuck off and die you Twilight loving cunts.